Why narcissists are insecure and will continue to be hated by everyone. Have you ever met someone who seems perfect on the outside, charismatic, confident, and seemingly flawless? But once you get closer, you start noticing something isn't quite right. They constantly fish for compliments, belittle others to elevate themselves, and seem to crumble at the slightest criticism. The truth is, this person is likely a narcissist. What you might not know is that beneath that polished exterior, narcissists are deeply insecure. And their insecurity, combined with their toxic behavior, is the very reason why they are, and will continue to be hated by everyone. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but the reality is that narcissists, despite their seeming self-assuredness, are haunted by profound insecurities. These insecurities dictate their every action and cause them to manipulate, control, and emotionally harm those around them. As we dive deeper into this topic, you'll start to understand why narcissists are doomed to fail in meaningful relationships, and why they often end up alienating everyone they encounter. Before we dive in, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel. If you find this content valuable, please don't forget to like and share it. The more people who understand narcissism, the more we can protect ourselves and our loved ones from the destructive forces of narcissistic behavior. Narcissists are often the life of the party, the ones who grab the most attention, and who seem to walk with an aura of superiority. They have a knack for making everyone believe they're special. But underneath all that bravado is a person who is constantly battling feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. This disconnect between the image they project and the insecurity they feel is the root of their narcissistic behavior. It's easy to assume that narcissists are arrogant or self-absorbed, but the truth is far more complicated. Their behavior is a defense mechanism, a way to shield themselves from their inner vulnerability. At its core, narcissism is a condition fueled by a deep and pervasive insecurity. Narcissists feel like they are never truly enough, no matter how much external validation they receive. This constant need for admiration stems from a fragile self-image, one that can easily shatter if it isn't constantly reinforced by praise, attention, and adoration. Their inflated sense of self-worth isn't a reflection of genuine confidence. It's a mask, a coping mechanism to avoid confronting their insecurities. Think about it for a moment. If a person were genuinely secure in themselves, they wouldn't need to seek constant validation. They wouldn't need to belittle others or inflate their accomplishments to feel good about who they are. Narcissists crave praise not because they believe they're inherently amazing, but because it fills the void of their self-doubt. The more compliments they receive, the more they temporarily feel a sense of worth. But this is a fragile foundation, one that requires constant upkeep. This is why narcissists often become irritable, defensive, or even vengeful when they don't receive the attention they feel they deserve. Their entire sense of identity is built on the approval of others, so when that approval is withdrawn, their world crumbles. This leads them to lash out, manipulate, or even punish those who withhold validation. The insecurity they hide beneath the surface is so deeply embedded that it governs their actions in every interaction. But here's the harsh reality: no matter how much admiration they receive, it will never be enough to silence the voice of insecurity inside them. Narcissists' deep insecurity manifests itself in various destructive ways. For example, they are often highly sensitive to criticism, even when it's constructive. A small comment about their behavior or appearance can feel like an emotional attack to them. Because their self-worth is so fragile, they can't handle the smallest amount of negative feedback. And when they do receive criticism, instead of reflecting on it or improving, they react with hostility, denial, or even anger. They may try to shift the blame onto others, or use manipulative tactics like gaslighting to make you question your perception of reality. This defensiveness is rooted in their fear of being exposed as inadequate. A narcissist's worst nightmare is being seen for who they truly are, a person with deep vulnerabilities, self-doubt, and an insatiable need for external validation. In order to maintain their illusion of perfection, they will go to great lengths to destroy anyone or anything that threatens their image. This often includes undermining others, demeaning them, or even sabotaging their relationships. If a narcissist feels like someone else is getting more attention or validation, they may resort to backhanded compliments, passive-aggressive comments, or even outright sabotage to regain their sense of superiority. The narcissist's constant need for validation and admiration becomes a toxic cycle. They are never truly satisfied with the attention they receive, and this creates an endless hunger for more. But the more they feed this hunger, the emptier they feel inside. Narcissists are never content with their accomplishments because they're always seeking something outside themselves to fill the void within. They are trapped in a never-ending pursuit of validation, and it's this desperate need that ultimately drives people away. This is why narcissists are often disliked, despised, and even hated by the people around them. It's not just because they're arrogant or self-centered. It's because their behavior is emotionally exhausting, manipulative, and damaging. People don't enjoy being around narcissists because they feel drained after every interaction. Narcissists suck the emotional life out of others by constantly demanding attention, admiration, and validation, while offering little in return. Over time, those who are closest to them become emotionally depleted and disengaged. This leaves the narcissist alone, wondering why everyone they encounter eventually grows distant or leaves them behind. But the truth is, narcissists are incapable of sustaining meaningful, healthy relationships. Their insecurity causes them to push people away, even as they desperately crave connection. They sabotage relationships because they fear vulnerability. The idea of letting someone in, of allowing themselves to be seen for who they truly are, terrifies them. So instead of building authentic, reciprocal connections, they rely on superficial relationships that feed their ego, but leave them feeling empty inside. This cycle of seeking validation, destroying relationships, and feeling lonely is something that narcissists never seem to escape. The people around them get fed up with the constant manipulation, the emotional drama, and the toxic behavior. Over time, they realize that no matter how much they give, it will never be enough to satisfy the narcissist's insatiable needs. And so, they eventually distance themselves, or worse, cut ties completely. Narcissists are left wondering why they can't maintain lasting relationships. But the answer is simple. Their insecurity, combined with their need to control and manipulate, destroys everything they touch. The reason narcissists will continue to be hated by everyone is because of this fundamental flaw, their inability to form genuine, meaningful connections. Narcissism is a disorder driven by insecurity, and this insecurity keeps them trapped in a cycle of self-centeredness and manipulation. People may tolerate them for a time, but eventually, they will become tired of the emotional toll it takes to deal with someone who is constantly fishing for compliments, belittling others, or using others for their own gain. No one enjoys being around someone who is emotionally draining, manipulative, and self-absorbed. Narcissists are toxic to the core, and their actions are driven by a profound fear of being exposed as weak or inadequate. As long as they continue to rely on external validation to feel good about themselves, they will continue to alienate those around them. Eventually, they will be left alone, surrounded only by the echo of their own insecurities, wondering why no one seems to care anymore. The sad truth is that narcissists will never find true fulfillment or peace until they address the insecurity at the core of their behavior. They may chase success, admiration, and power, but these things will never fill the void inside them. They will always be searching for something that can never be found externally. And as long as they continue to live in denial of their true feelings of inadequacy, they will continue to push people away and face the consequences of their own toxic behavior. Thank you for joining me in exploring why narcissists are deeply insecure and why they continue to be hated by everyone. If you found this discussion insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more content on understanding human behavior and relationships. Understanding narcissism is the first step in protecting yourself from the emotional harm that these individuals can cause. Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. How have narcissists affected your life, and how have you managed to protect yourself from their toxicity? You won't believe what happens when a narcissist meets someone stronger. When a narcissist meets someone stronger, you can almost feel the tension in the air. It's as if two different worlds collide, each with its own set of rules and expectations. On one side, you have the narcissist, a person defined by a deep need for validation, admiration, and control. On the other side, you have someone who doesn't seek approval, who isn't intimidated, and who isn't afraid to challenge the narcissist's grip on the narrative. The dynamic is explosive, the stakes high, and the outcome uncertain. You might be wondering, what really happens when these two worlds collide? Imagine the scene. A person who's built their identity on being the center of attention, on manipulating those around them, faces someone who has no interest in playing their game. It's a psychological battle that can leave the narcissist reeling, confused, and even desperate. But it's not just about the narcissist's reaction. There's a surprising twist that we don't often talk about. The person who stands up to the narcissist also undergoes a transformation, often learning and growing through the process. Before we get deeper into the psychology of this encounter, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. If you find the discussion insightful, please like and share it with others who might benefit. Let's dive into one of the most fascinating, yet devastating, psychological dynamics that people often face. The narcissist's world, an illusion of control and perfection. To truly understand what happens when a narcissist meets someone stronger, it's essential to first understand the narcissist themselves. Narcissism isn't just about vanity or an exaggerated sense of self-importance. It's a deep-seated psychological condition, often stemming from fragile self-esteem. Narcissists crave admiration and validation from others because their internal sense of self-worth is tenuous and unstable. At its core, narcissism is driven by the need for control. The narcissist doesn't simply want admiration, they want to be the central figure in their environment. They want to be the one who calls the shots, who sets the tone, and who manipulates the people around them to meet their needs. Their self-esteem is so fragile that any perceived slight, whether it's criticism, disinterest, or rejection, can send them into a downward spiral. They view themselves as superior, often exaggerating their accomplishments or qualities in an attempt to maintain their elevated status. Now, imagine what happens when a narcissist encounters someone who doesn't need their validation, someone who doesn't buy into the illusion of grandeur. It's as though their carefully constructed world begins to crumble. This is the moment of truth, the moment where the narcissist's vulnerabilities are laid bare, and the fallout is often both dramatic and revealing. The encounter. What happens when a narcissist meets someone stronger? When the narcissist encounters someone stronger, someone who is emotionally resilient, self-aware, and immune to manipulation, it is a stark contrast to the world they've built. This stronger individual is not intimidated by the narcissist's charm, not swayed by their lies, and not easily manipulated. But how does the narcissist react to this challenge? In the beginning, they may not even recognize the strength in the other person. Narcissists are typically excellent at reading others and assessing their weaknesses. But when they come across someone who is emotionally grounded, confident in their own identity, and not willing to play the narcissist's games, they can feel disoriented. The first signs of trouble often begin when their usual tactics fail. Narcissists thrive on manipulation, whether it's through charm, guilt-tripping, or emotional coercion. They may try to lure the stronger person in with compliments, flattery, or promises of something they can never deliver. But the stronger person is immune to these tactics. They may politely dismiss these advances, see them for what they are, or outright reject them. For the narcissist, this can feel like an attack, even if the other person remains calm and composed. In these situations, the narcissist's emotional reactions are often telling. They may feel a mixture of anger, confusion, and even humiliation. After all, they're used to being the dominant figure in their relationships, and someone who doesn't respond to their manipulations is a direct threat to their ego and sense of control. The narcissist's responses: escalation, withdrawal, or retaliation. As the stronger individual refuses to play along, the narcissist's emotional reaction can vary. Initially, the narcissist may feel slighted and try to escalate the situation. They may attempt to regain control by increasing their efforts to manipulate or dominate. This can take many forms. They might become more aggressive in their attempts to seek attention, use guilt to try and provoke a response, or even escalate to outright insults or belittling behavior. When these tactics fail, the narcissist may resort to withdrawing or retreating. Narcissists are often skilled at ghosting or becoming emotionally distant when things don't go their way. They may try to create a sense of scarcity, attempting to manipulate the other person into pursuing them or begging for their attention. This is a classic